Now, when I got my amateur radio license 17 years ago as a teenager, I found myself overwhelmed with the sheer amount of stuff to understand about the hobby. What frequencies do you use, propagation, basics of antennas, feed lines, balance, you name it. There was there was a lot to take in. Now, when you study your ham exam, and depending on your background and how you went about it, some things are not that clearly explained, and you do need to do some research on various topics. Because after all, amateur radio is a hobby where we all can learn and apply the things that we learn. So I remember after passing my exam and getting overwhelmed with all these things, another local ham stepped up to help me out. He suggested that I take a look at the ARRL Handbook. So I got one, and it was jam-packed full of information for the beginner ham. The same is true today, so I wanted to talk to you about the 2022 ARRL Handbook, which is available this October 2021. Now, the ARRL Handbook is the Bible of amateur radio. Every single shack needs to have one of these handbooks. Now, a link will be provided in the description on how you can pick up the newest edition of the 2022 Handbook. Now, I really do recommend that you get one for the shack. Nothing compares to the ARRL Handbook. There really isn't a greater resource anywhere out there like it. Now, the 2022 edition is available as a complete handbook, or it is also available split into 6 volumes. Now, today I'm going to look at Volume 4, which is Antenna Systems and Radio Propagation, and how this can help you to get the most out of your ham radio experience. There's all of these sections here, and again, have a look at the videos done by the other YouTubers in the playlist that I will link in the description and also in the end cards of this video, so you can check out all of their reviews on the handbook. But we're going to be looking at Chapter 19. Now, for a beginner, this is probably the best resource for what each band does and how it reacts to the ionosphere, in the case of HF, the troposphere, what bands you should be using, who you can contact, the time of day, all those things in this, the propagation summary by band, and it's really good. So if we take, for example, let's have a look here, 20 meters. So it breaks down the frequency, so 14 megahertz to 14.35, the 20 meter band. The 20 meter band is traditionally regarded as the amateur's primary long-haul DX favourite. Regardless of the 11-year solar cycle, 20 meters can be depended on for at least a few hours of worldwide F2 propagation. So the F layer. During the day, during solar maximum periods, of course, we're on the way up with solar cycle 25, 20 meters will often stay open to distant locations throughout the night. Skip distance is usually appreciable and is always present to some degree. So, because of its popularity, 20 meters tends to be very congested during the daylight hours. So that's 20 meters, so you get a good indication from just reading that very short summary. So you sort of get a good indication of what happens on that band. If I scroll through here, let's take a slightly higher band. 6 meters, my favourite band. The lowest amateur VHF band we talk about, so on 50 megahertz. Stations can work over a radius of approximately 300 kilometres, so that's via tropospheric scatter or those sort of modes, depending on terrain, power, receive capabilities. Here we go. During the peak of the 11-year sunspot solar cycle, especially during the winter months, worldwide 50 megahertz DX is possible by the F2 layer. During daylight hours, sporadic E. That's always an interesting topic. I've put a link in the cards and also the description to a talk that I did for the Oro Valley Amateur Radio Club in Tucson, Arizona. I did that earlier on this year, so check that out if you want to learn some more about sporadic E. So just from these 2 pages, I think, is it? Yeah, it's 2 pages. 1, 2, yeah. 2 and a half. We've got a very basic summary of all the bands, and I think that this is great because I know actually just recently, and I'm happy to admit this, just recently I got back into HF, probably in the last year I got back onto HF. Now I remember from years ago that 80 meters I knew was the nighttime band. I knew that 10 meters was opened up during the solar cycle peaks. And also during the summer with Sporadic E. I didn't really know much about the bands in between on HF. So the first thing I did is I went to the ARRL Handbook actually at my club, and I looked up this very page, and I was like, oh, so I wonder what, so 15 meters, 15 meters, prime DX band. Oh, and I read through, and I was able to get a good indication on what each band was doing. And I wish I had this when I first started. So when I very first started, I had no idea. I built a 15 meter dipole at the bottom of the solar cycle, and I put this 15 meter dipole up, and it was like the only antenna that I knew how to build. I plugged it into the radio, and it was just silence. I just tuned across the band, and I was sort of like, what's going on? Like, because originally when I got interested in amateur radio, I was listening on my uncle's radio, and I didn't realise at the time that he had it on 20 metres. So he was hearing stations all over the place. And of course, here comes me, newly licensed, throw up a dipole, 15 metres, yep, cool. That'll fit in the area that I've got. Put up this 15 metre dipole, didn't hear anyone. So I really wish that I had this so that I could understand what was really going on. So now it sort of breaks down a little bit more, talking about skywave propagation, the role of the sun. Here's I just mentioned about the summary of the various bands and the F layer and the E layer. So this sort of details the altitude of the various layers and what they do, elevation angles, heights, how they all correlate to one another, and how you can, the different hops across this and multiple reflections and all sorts of information. It's just amazing the amount of information that's in here. There's a reason why the book is so thick and split into several different sections. I mean, just look at all of the sheer amount of information that is available in the handbook. I know that when I got I'm trying to remember what year mine was. I can't quite remember. The first ARRL edition that I had, the first handbook that I had, it was an orange cover. Can't remember the year. I'd have to look it up. Now, this section is talking about the 11-year solar cycle. This is something that has got a lot of hams talking. We are on the way up. We bottomed out in solar cycle 24 in December 2019. We are now on the way back up. We're in October 2021, and the peak of the cycle is a couple of years away. So everyone needs to get prepared, because there's going to be plenty of DX. Here's a bit of a history of what sunspot cycles were like and the sunspot numbers. Of course, the ARRL Handbook goes into more detail around these and what they mean. But I did want to just point out this new section, which has been written in March 2021 by Carl, K9LA. So there's quite a lot of good information in this particular section about cycle 25 and what's to be expected coming up. If you've got a mate, maybe he's hasn't operated and he's been active for a number of years, maybe the bands have been dead and he's thought, there's not much point. Why don't you let him know that Solar Cycle 25 is on the rise, and we're looking at some great amateur radio propagation on the HF bands. In fact, I've actually got my Solar Cycle 25 shirt on with the from the ARRL, so maybe grab one of those as well. I'll put a link in the description for that. So yeah, grab a Cycle 25 shirt. Here's a section I haven't seen before, which I want to go back and really study quite in detail. VHF and UHF mobile propagation. This is pretty good. Doppler effects, I suppose. Doppler effects, and how you get when you're listening on FM to a repeater and you got the picket fencing going on. Well, not exactly like that, but you know what I mean. The picket fencing, UHF, you get the real rapid fade. 2 meters is sort of slower, and 6 meters is even slower still. So here we go. Oh, it's called Rayleigh fading. Oh, okay, that's quite interesting. What's this say here? As the mobile stations move about, the phases of the various paths vary in random fashion. However, they tend to be uncorrelated over distances greater than a quarter wavelength or so, which is about 20 inches on the 2 meter band. That is why if the repeater you are listening to drops out when you are stopped at a traffic light, you can often get it back again by creeping forward a few inches. Who's ever done that before? I know I have. I know I've pulled up to the traffic light there, and I've been listening to the repeater on 70 centimetres, and it's just gone whoosh, on the signal meter. I go, nah, damn, now I can't hear what they're saying. I'll just creep forward. I won't go into the traffic. I won't go into the red light. I'll just, there we go, the repeater's back again. Oh, I wonder how many bars I can get on the signal meter. So, yeah, that's a very good, I like that section. I might, I'm going to enjoy going back and reading through that. Now, I just want to point out this section really quickly for the beginner. This is the Glossary of Radio Propagation terms. Now, if you don't understand anything and you don't know what it means, this is great because you go straight to it and you can view exactly what it means. So let's pick something at random. Long path propagation. Propagation between 2 points on the Earth's surface that follows a path along the great circle between them, but in a direction opposite from the shortest distance between them. Temperature inversion. So this is tropospheric ducting, again, something interesting to me. A condition in which the atmosphere in which a region of cool air is trapped beneath warmer air. Solar wind. Electrically charged particles emitted by the sun and travelling through space. Variations in the solar wind may have a sudden impact on radio communications when they arrive at the atmosphere of the Earth. Now, I've either lost or given away my old ARRL handbook, so I'm definitely going to pick up one of these new 2022 ARRL handbooks very soon. A link is in the description below on how you can pick up one of these handbooks. And I just want to say, consider becoming an ARRL member. The ARRL supports amateur radio, and as a member, you will get access to a wide variety of benefits, including hundreds of training, licensing, operating, project building, and other resources to help you get out there and get active on the air. Okay, now next up is Jason from Ham Radio 2.0, who will be discussing the next part in this series on the handbook. Click here to view that now. 73 from Hayden VK7HH and KD9SSB.